Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Friday, the 7th of February, 2020, and I am your host, Shozen, and with me today, and pretty much all this week, has been my co-host, Bogul. How are you doing today, Bogul?
Hello, sir. I had my mic muted there for a second. I'm doing okay. I have a little bit of a cough, but I'm doing okay. Actually, it's just a little cold here. Don't worry. What's on the show today, Shozen?
It's Friday, so we're going to effing chat.
Okay.
We're going to do some PSAs because, well, it's the beginning of the show. We don't have any new news other than those Fs in chat. But what I do have is that interview that I've been talking about for a while now. Yeah, I interviewed 3 third-rate shot callers. Like, they are not their guild's top callers. But they know the importance of shot calling. And they reveal a lot of very important info for us. And you'll see why I did it. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We'll play that in a little bit. But first, Bogul, let's get through those PSAs. We have a contest that ended today, didn't it?
I think so, yeah. We had talked about it yesterday. We tried to get everybody to get in there last minute, but now we were hoping to announce these winners today, but actually it is still in progress. But I think you have some other news and some reason to talk about this, because I think you talked to somebody who is supposed to join this contest late.
Well, here's the thing: is we did a interview with Wipepipe, the guy who did the song for this. Bogul, I feel like we almost should play his entry again because it really is good. And I also almost feel like we're cheating here by showing his entry over and over again. But it is the thing about quality and doing a little bit more. And I love that when people in the community do that, when they just take it one step further. And he's done it a couple of times now in these contests. And he says his entry is not to be disqualified. It is 6 very long lines, and it just happens to have very long lines. Now, I honestly think maybe he should be thought of as not one of the fair entries and given a prize anyway, and then we should give the official prizes to everybody. But that I don't make those decisions, Bogul. I don't. No.
Okay.
Let me play I am just a stream host. And the other guy I interviewed, though, Bogul, who did one of these songs, who everybody loved, Airship Enoch, who did Judy Boots. Remember Judy Boots?
Yes, sir, I do.
It's a good song. It was the previous best song in all of Albion, but because it is like old now, and this is the new hotness, this is the new number 1. And I told Airship Enoch about this. He watched the poem and he said, "This is amazing. I'm going to get in on this, but I'm very busy." So if he does get in a submission, it will be too late to enter and win an official prize. But this isn't, I don't think the prize is what it's about, Bogul. Has it ever been about the prize?
I think for us, it's about entertainment and showing
for me
cool
and you,
community
it's
stuff.
100%. Yeah, we don't care about the prizes. We care about community stuff. So I'm going to egg him on to do it anyway, and I hope he turns up and puts something out because he really has some skills. And if these guys go back and forth, Albion would just be better for it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let me play this. It's only like a minute long, but it's nice for those of you who haven't heard it yet.
Okay. You want to hear a song? Well, you're in luck. Have a seat. Grab a drink. Look no further. In a land where the king had his hand over things all the weakest of peons could trot. For the loot there was bland, but the mighty outlands was a journey that our king took not. Oh, we mounted our wolves and we ran through the night, never knew which spilt more blood or ale. For if thy heart of wax fell upon my great axe, how the heart of the forest would wail. There's a rumor in town of a new land around, one much larger than we ever knew. As as we bid thee adieu, friend, I know I'll see you in the outland that waits us anew.
Yeah, that is by the user Centritius. But I think the actual name of him is Ypipe. And he wrote a very nice poem for us all here.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I love the amount of effort that these guys have always put into their contests. We have a number of great content creators here in our community. You guys are all awesome. Some of you guys really go over the top, and I love it. Speaking of over the top, Bogul, let's move on to our next subject.
Sure.
After 4 years, countless rants, more like I don't know, one-sided posts than I don't know a good example of one-sided. What's a good one-sided post?
I'm not quite sure where you're going with this.
I'm going with the poll, Bogul, about alliances and removing alliances from the game. Everybody was like, yes. And that would, I mean, that's kind of shocking. I mean, for some of us, I mean, not so much for others. I really felt like when we did that interview with Robin Henkes, he really explained why they have kept alliances in the game. But apparently people haven't listened to that interview in a while, and they forgot. So now they're like, no, 80% of them. Bogul, show the results.
That looks pretty clear.
Yeah.
I said it yesterday, I said it the day before. I think a bunch of guilds CTA'd this poll. So it's always rough to see these numbers. But why not? Why not look for some change? Why not look for some ways to improve this? Queen was one of the first steps into that direction, and I'm sure we can find some more things too.
800 idiots.
Wow.
Oh, Fun Stealer, you always have such a way with words. He should be a writer for one of these like top newspapers. Bogul, it's going to be interesting to see how people feel about this.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of know what the people... What?
Okay, I didn't know where you were going there for a second. I thought you were going to say that we knew things.
We don't. We just know that what the poll says, and the poll.
Yeah, we only right.
What?
Okay, so the poll says to get rid of alliances. Very interesting. We've been talking about this all week. If you go and listen to, I think it was Wednesday's show, Bogul, I went off on a bit of a rant about it. But let's get to the meat of today. Why is everybody here? It's because you like pressing F in chat. We have some big things died this week. Is that... I don't even know how to say this. Bogul, we have... I got sent a link by a guy who died from Stovey. Does anybody know Stovey? From Diora Mortis? Do you guys know Stovey? I hope somebody knows Stovey. Because Stovey is on the show because he lost a lot of nice 8.3.
Yeah. Artifact gear, like relic artifact gear, the red glowing there. Pretty expensive, 8.3. 3 sets of that. 9.5 million fame, one of the biggest ones. Actually, the biggest one from last week. Seems to have been getting caught off in the wrong spot there by a bunch of people. Who sent you this and why?
I don't know if he wants me to say who sent it.
Okay.
You know, I didn't get that impression. I think it was sent to me because he died all in 8.3 artifact gear, and it was for he didn't have like a bag, and he's still hitting that 9.5 mil. That's a lot of fame to die for with no bag. And I think it's impressive. We had another one to look at, though, didn't we? Where are the Fs in chat, Bogul? Where are the Fs? I don't see any Fs in chat. Hold on. Do you guys know that you can unlock a emote of choice for Fridays, and then just press it and share your emote like that. See? Look at those Fs. That guy died for a lot. Do you want to be the guy who dies for 9.5? And then I show that on the show? Yes, you do. You do. So we can all respect so much that you've done for us. Because this touches all of Albion in a way. Right? I mean, right? Like,
Laughing
it touches
about,
the gatherers,
about other people is
it
always
touches
fun,
the crafters, it touches guild leaders and frontliners. I mean, everybody understands this. All right, let's get to the other one we have. I think this one's even bigger, isn't it?
Shout out to Stovey again. Good job.
Shout out to Stovey.
But we have somebody who topped this whole shenanigans. Grizzly Poo.
Grizzly Poo.
Look at this.
13.8. Ah.
8.3. Masterpiece. 8.3. Excellent. A bunch of gear in your inventory. 8.3. Excellent. Bound. Maps. Arena tokens.
Yeah.
And the best thing about this is the 4 flat claws ganker with a bunch of friends. Of course.
That's true. I didn't even notice that. It's a 4 flat. Oh, the profit to be had in the Outlands, boys. Oh, man. Bogul, thanks for noticing.
Yesterday night. Shout out to Grizzly Poo.
Wow.
Definitely
my
worth
God.
Love,
I don't care if that was split 14 ways or not. That's still $1 million fame apiece.
Chad is asking why the Skinner cap. Do you know?
Bear trap.
Bear trap. All right. So you can slow them down with that one.
All right. So in chat, there's another thing that just keeps coming up. When is the interview with Gluttony? F in chat to interview with Gluttony. I tried to edit that, but thanks to Archer's Non and Gluttony's preferred method of communication, I'm gonna have to see if Gluttony will be willing to redo that one, maybe under a different circumstance, because Archer's Non added a lot to the conversation. I will say that he did add a lot to the conversation, and none of it was appropriate for the show, unfortunately. And I want to stay on Twitch, and I want to keep my job and be respectful for all players, not just the ones who are immediately in front of me. And for all the people who would be listening, I felt that, as has been popular to say lately, Bogul, crossing lines is crossing lines. And I didn't think it was appropriate.
I was going to ask what his preferred method of communication is.
Louder.
Right. Okay. But other than not being able to show that, we can show something else that happened this week in terms of things.
Another F in chat.
I almost said it's a similar guild, but it's a very different guild, and something happened to somebody.
Well,
how do you type?
Do you have the video? Do you have the video that I gave you?
Yeah. How do you spell the guild?
Take care with a space.
With a space.
With a space. I learned that yesterday. It definitely is the one with the space.
What happened with Take Care? The number one ZVZ guild in Albion.
It was at one point, wasn't it? I guess when they were Team Casualty, at one point they were the number one ZVZ guild in the game, and for a long time their format changed and even name changed. And I like to talk about Team Casualty version 6, because I don't think of a guild in this game that has really changed itself more times than TC. But I don't know if they're going to come out of this most recent cocoon that they're in. And I don't, is cocoon right? Well, let's just say LeBron James is currently in charge. Ellipsis and Plebicus Derpicus are gone, and a lot of the great shot callers who were known to play in that guild have left. And last night, if you play the video, you can see the first tier 3 hideout burned to the ground. Make sure you mute the comms on that. Definitely mute comms.
I did. Okay. I like the spam chat that says take care, take care.
Well, be careful with that.
I have it muted. I'm just showing I can't do anything about the speech bubbles. That's the one you sent me. I hope
you
vetted this before you sent this to me. Well, we are seeing Blue Army destroying the level 3. Ouch.
Yeah. That's a full tier. That's the big boy. They came every day. They knocked on its door. I think it was about 4 days ago that I believe the real downfall of TC occurred, and it really started from there. Maybe it was 3. The information is murky at best. Those guys kind of like switched alliances and switched guilds, and you don't know exactly when things happen as what the internal strife was. I have mixed feelings on this one. I always like to see a good, strong guild stay out there and keep competing. Yet my personal beef with LeBron James says, oh, okay.
Personal beef. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We'll keep it in game though, right?
Right. Sure.
But yeah, I F in chat, man, because I don't know if it's just their hideout were effing in chat too, or the guild itself. Because when you lose the people who are, good at leading, not just good at the game, but good at leading, it's really, really going to be hard to come back from that. And if they do, hey, maybe Dabba will do, and he'll get that thing back up. What, you don't think Flintstones references are they too old? I mean, it was a show from the 50s, right? It's pretty old.
You watched cartoons in the 50s?
No, I watched them in the 80s.
Oh, all right.
Still doesn't help much, right?
No. Yeah, we'll see. Take Care has been rebounding quite a lot in the past. Or TC, as you said, you mentioned it, version 6,
7,
8,
well,
9, 10.
I mean,
so why not? We might see these guys come back at some point. But I think we do have another shout out that we've been trying to get into the show for a few days now.
Yes. I talked to these guys earlier in the week. It's another guild that would like to do a shout out. I believe we're going to see them get a spotlight soon enough. So Bogul, why don't you go ahead and read this because you're better at the reading?
Let me find how to spell Legion Extraniera from Arch Guild Leader Gortharg. I think they first things first. Why do we shout them out, and why did they contact you? Just to promote themselves, or?
Well, yeah. I think that I don't know exactly how the conversation started, but they were just like, "Hey, how do we get in contact with somebody about a spotlight?" And I was like, "You know what? We do spotlights, and if you're like a fan of the show, that is reason enough for us to give you a spotlight. I love our fans, all of you guys, no matter how big or small your guild is, and that's not why we spotlight you because of the size or successfulness of your guild." We do it because you guys are fans. And when a fan reaches out to me to get a spotlight, you know what I say, Bogul? What can I do for you?
You can make me read their shout out. Wow.
Yes, that's really that. Well, I think that's the best. Well, it came down, what was the best I could do for them? It started out, what can I do for you? And that was like, we would like a spotlight. So I was like, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And it went from just a little bit to a little bit more, and then a very nice statement. And I thought, if we have a very nice statement from them, why have me stumble through the words when I can have the great Bogul read them for you?
Legion Extraniera. The Legion was born on October 11th, 2018. Thanks to the idea of two people making a Latin clan that differs of base of Latin guilds within Albion Online. From that moment, Legion always tried to become a community where we bring Latins together without the toxicity that prevailed in the Latin clans of Albion Online, focusing on ZVZ as end game content. We offer all the content of the game for both new and hardcore players, such as PvE, PvE, Elite Dungeons, diving, ganking, and especially ZVZ. We are the Arch Hispania callers, and we hope that more Latin clans focus on GVG will join us. We currently have more than 100 players connected in our attendance. Connected and in our attendance peak between their Guild 1 and 2. They have a re-equip system for new and amateur players, and another system for elite and more experienced players. If you're tired of the prevailing toxicity and want to have fun and enjoy all aspects of the game, join Legion Extranera. We are waiting for you.
Yeah, I like that. Well,
the best thing is that they sent a screenshot.
They did. It was a good screenshot.
And it has their guild logo on it, right? But it's actually from it somehow ended up on the official site. So I don't know who had that first. If Elsa decided, hey, let's take some cool screenshots of them, or if they decided, well, this looks cool, let's change our guild logo to that.
Well, it looks good. And in chat, we heard a number of people saying that they are definitely a legit guild who's done work. And I saw, what are they ranked 25th right now, Bogul? Is that what they are currently? If you pop back?
Yes.
Yeah, so that puts them ahead of Tea Party. That puts them ahead of Fricks. That puts them ahead of Awful Company. Those are names of guilds we all know. And I think that the next thing that we need to learn is how to pronounce their name properly. So
I saw that too. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's why I gave it to Bogul. I was like, here, Bogul, pronounce this. Good luck. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate all that you guys do. You guys are all awesome. Here, let me get you that link shown, because apparently they have a entire YouTube channel, and I'll just repost that for you. Bogul, you know what I haven't done yet today?
Raffles.
I haven't. And guys, I know if you're winners from yesterday, you're like, hey, how come I haven't gotten my raffle yet? Where's my gold code? Well, I'll be giving those all out today during the interview. So if you have not gotten your code yet, do not worry. They're on their way. I'm going to give another little bit here, and then we'll start pulling some raffles. Ooh, it hit 42. That's a good number. We'll draw now.
Is that it for shoutouts, community news? Anything we should mention, or was there any other news this week that we might at least mention? I think I just remembered the one I was looking for.
Yellow
Well,
I'm going to shout out these. Huh? What?
Do you know that Yellow Guild?
Yellow Guild.
With that skull that used to do a bunch of GVGing in a while back, that sort of said, hey, we might come back soon.
Articulum Mortis?
I think you wanted to talk about that briefly.
Did I?
Yesterday you said you wanted to do it.
I talked about them yesterday.
Yeah.
They're already back.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they're coming back like today, I guess. Like I got a message saying that they're coming back, and then I saw the Frog One boys say they're coming back, and so it sounds like they're all coming back. It's freaking awesome that they are. I'm looking forward to it. If they come back as strong as they were before, it'll be amazing for the game. And I believe I might be able to even set up another interview soon. So we'll see. Well, or maybe not an interview, but I'm going to talk to Vasor anyway and get some inside info on what their plans are. Maybe we'll do an interview with the guys. We'll see what they want to do. Cool. But we'll get some info for you guys no matter what. But now, Bogul, it's time for either shout-outs. Do we want to do shout-outs right now, or do we want to go right to the interview?
We're already 25 minutes in. I don't know how long this
I don't think we have. Geez, it's a long one. It's like 50 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. How much do we have here for shout-outs? None. Thank God we didn't reset it from yesterday. Excellent. That means we can go right on to the interview. Amazing. We're all lucky. I'm going to start a new raffle as soon as this interview starts. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back here on Tuesday. Oh, actually, no. Bogle, we're going to be back here before that, aren't we?
Maybe tonight, I think.
Yeah, 21 UTC.
Yeah. A little earlier,
yeah.
I think. For some
early, I guess it'll be well for us. If Bogle depends on when the massing starts, right? We're gonna be available for you guys to start watching either 15 minutes of or right around the hour. So right about 15 minutes before the hour, start paying attention because we're gonna be on a 15-minute delay watching the activities of some slightly later in the evening zones. We watched what was going on at 18 UTC for the last few days. And I don't know what happened earlier today. Actually, does anybody know what happened with the PoE territory and that hammer and sickle hideout?
It's in River Corps Found, right? There you go. It says 5 out of 5 defender points chosen.
Oh, it looks like they were able to defend themselves then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they have the tower too? Who owns the tower?
Blue Army.
Okay, so they weren't able to take their tower back, but they were able to defend it. Funstealer, we will be here for all the weekend matches. Is this weekend the weekend of matches, Bogle, or is it next weekend?
I think it's next weekend. I don't know.
My schedule that I have says next weekend. I will definitely be here on Saturday if there are fights. I will have to go check in on that. Funstealer, you're confusing me. And if they are 4 and 5 on Saturday. No, it's
we do the 6s and 7s.
No, we're doing the 6s and 7s. Okay, no. All right, no, we're not doing the 4 and 5s this Saturday. If it's Tuesday 4 and 5s, we do them. Yeah, we do the alternating Tuesdays. We do every Tuesday fights, right? With Lupac?
Okay, the level 4
I'm
and
getting
I think the level 3 after.
Yeah, I'm getting really confused as to what's going on here. Everybody's confusing me. No, we'll definitely be covering the Tuesday fights. And if they are level 5 fights on Tuesday, we have that. But we do not cover the level 5s on 4 and 5s on Saturday. We cover the 6, 7s, and 8s, 9s. Right?
Yes.
Bogle?
Interview
okay,
time.
Thank you. All right. I'm so confused.
Do we need to set this up any further, or are you going to
there's 3 guys I knew, actually. I knew of them. But I didn't know what they were doing inside of Blue Army. And then Chris, a.k.a. Suck, started pestering me every single day to interview these guys. And I'm like, why am I going to interview them? Well, they're really good shot callers. They're up-and-coming shot callers. You have to interview them. They're the up-and-coming shot callers of BA. And I'm like, do people really want to hear from like the 5th, 6th, and 7th shot caller of BA? And you know what? I think they do. Bogle. It was a really good interview. So let's go and play that. I give them a pretty hard time.
All right. Enjoy, everybody.
I am here with yet another episode of the Albion interview series. And today I have the pleasure of meeting with Bolded, Khelron, and Sarge, the newest warlords / shot callers for BA. And yes, I was told I had to do this. This wasn't my choice. I don't usually pick third-rate shot callers to have on my show, but again, I do owe my dues to BA if I want to keep getting those free mounts. So, without further ado, guys, tell us why you're on the show.
Look, I think before we even jump into the whole why we're on the show, I have to address one point I think that you mentioned here, Shozen, which is the third-rate shot caller comment.
Oh, well, what's wrong? I mean, I'm going to be clear. Mojo's the first one, right? You got Mojo, and then you got Chris, and then if Knight shows up, he's the shot caller. And I mean, there's Snacks, or he fits in there somewhere. Well, where do you guys fit in?
5th rate, right after all of this.
Half those guys are retired most of the time.
Yeah, look. I think where we set ourselves apart a little bit is we all play in somewhat unique time zones. So Sarge, for example, plays in the NA time. I play EU. Khelron plays kind of in the middle of that. And throughout, either whether it's Mojo kind of taking a break, Chris not playing, Knight not playing, we've all actually had our opportunities to actually call against probably most of the first-rate shot callers, or what you might consider first-rate shot callers for all the other guilds, while Mojo, Chris, Sucks, and Knight are kind of away from the game. We're the ones that are kind of, trying to hone our skills, hone our calling, and calling against some of the best shot callers, I think, outside of BA. So although we might be if you look at it in the strict pecking order, the below Mojo and Chris, I think we're in our own right calling against the best shot callers in the game. We all actually own, different time zones where we're actually primary callers at some points, during those time zones as well. And so we're doing quite a lot of calling, on a primary basis as well for BA at the moment.
Okay. And, there are other zones too. I mean, you can hit those side zones as well. Somebody's got to hit those up.
Yeah, we have content specialists for that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The 6th string.
The 6th string. Okay, so you guys all handle the primary zone, and so you have the 6th, 7th, and 8th string shot callers calling those additional zones, like the tunnel zone and then the sweep around. Okay, I thought that was group 2, but I see how it is.
Tunnel zone.
So ruthless, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the big guns, the big dogs, Mojo, Sucks, Knight, and even like you mentioned, Snacksaur, they're not around all the time, all day, every day. And especially with the Queen update, this is something that BA has been working on for a while. Like, we've kind of stepped up into the Warlord position, become primary content drivers, and allowed those guys some room to breathe. Now, do they get on to handle some of the big show-stopping fights? Absolutely. But, BA is in a position now at this point where we're running 2 and 3 fronts inside of our own guild. And that's kind of where we play into it, amongst, driving the content and calling on our own by ourselves in our time zones and kind of leading them in that way.
Okay. So go ahead.
I think one of those big things that Sarge and Boldy are not really saying too much is they actually... Like, if you consider last season, which was technically like the event season, right? Not super important or whatever, but basically Mojo, Sucks, and Knight were like MIA 100%, right? So
yeah, Mojo had some Call of Duty to play, and then
he got a lot of Call of Duty, and I heard him trying to call E's during Call of Duty, so I don't know how that worked out for him. But you got to realize that, like, when you look at last season, right, 90% of the fights last season that you saw BA fighting, it was either Boldy or Sarge leading them. Like, really? Yeah, it was. That's where they both kind of came up, and like, they may or may not, end up saying it. So that's why I want to like put it out there. But and those big old fights where we had all the dinosaurs coming out of Jurassic Park in against PoE, zone lock fights and everything in last season, a lot of that was Boldy too.
All right. Well, who's calling him this season?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, right, Mojo is the primary shot caller, right? Mojo is still the best shot caller, in my opinion, in the game, right?
So Mojo, do some crazy shit. Yeah.
Mojo leads, right? And Mojo sets the tempo for us as a Warlord group as well. One of the things I find is interesting is, our ability now to hit multiple fronts, as you mentioned earlier, Shozen, with very competent shot callers, right? Where some guilds may have one, maybe even 3 shot callers that can call competently. I think probably within BA now, if you include the 3 of us, we probably have about 7 callers that can call competently. If I listed them out, I think you'd go Mojo, Chris, Knight, Snacksaur, Sarge, Khelron, and then myself. And then so what that allows you to do is it allows you to just extend on several fronts. An example I can give recently is when we fought the 1941 Alliance with BA only against several guilds from 1941. Including Take Care, including Target, and I believe there's Spanish Guild as well. And we fought one zone. Mojo called, I called, Sucks called another party, all on TeamSpeak, and we are able to dominate the fight, right? And that's something, I don't know if there's another guild in the game right now that can do that. Or you can put, 2 callers in the zone, and you can put one of the 3 of us outside of the zone and terrorize either their reinforcements or their additional blobs on the outside, where there's no way they have the level of depth to have a 3rd caller on the outside that can probably hang. So that's, I think, is gives us a unique position that there's not too many guilds out there that can do.
Well, I will say, as an observer, I've actually seen this in effect, because I do like to show up to some ZVZs occasionally when I'm not streaming and get to listen to the comms. You guys run a combination of Discord and TeamSpeak, so that the leaders of the different fronts can all speak to each other at once through TeamSpeak, and then each party itself is in another room in Discord, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And this allows you guys to have some very clean comms, some of the most clean comms I've heard for that size of battle. I mean, I've been in the conflict side, and it's a little bit quieter over there, which is, saying a lot. I mean, you guys do some pretty nice comms over here, but it's incredible how much communication goes into a really large-scale fight, and how hard it's got to be because from what I've seen, mostly it's Mojo coordinating 3 or 4 different fronts and his own party, Group 1, and yet you all seem to get to the right position at the right time. I've seen it time and time again, and it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
So I think it's mostly like practice with it, right? So like when I first joined BA, they essentially wanted me to call and stuff like that. I wasn't too for calling. I was kind of like, my time calling is done. But essentially, when I did start calling a little bit here and there, they wanted me to use TeamSpeak, and it's hard. It's hard. Like it takes a lot of experience to be coordinating properly using TeamSpeak and Discord, and still seeing the fight and knowing where everybody is and what they're doing. So it's really just a lot of experience.
And it's also knowing the primary caller, right? So if Mojo is leading the comms and he's the primary caller, there's a different play style that goes with that. Same with Chris and same with Knight. And it takes the practice in all of those situations to really understand, like you said, knowing where you need to be, because it might not always be communicated clearly. And it is hard. I mean, we've gone as far as practicing against each other and using split
Friday
comms.
night fights.
Right, just to get used to it. Just because it's another element to the battle that you have to balance, especially from a communication front. Because if you aren't in the right place at the right time, that could be a fight ender, right? So we've, like at Friday Night Fights, we've gone as far as weekly fighting each other internally and forcing that upon ourselves to get to that level to where we can function effectively in that multiple front situation.
Actually, interesting enough, we've all actually fought against each other in some way, whether it be a 2-on-2 calling fight or be 1v1 in Friday Night Fights at some point, right? And so I think that's another thing I think about BA that's pretty unique, is they just put callers up against each other, whether you're rising, whether you're set. Because I think there was one time where Mojo and Chris won against Snacksor and somebody else, or maybe it was Snacksor and Chris and Mojo and Knight. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think that's also a unique point to note for all of us. We all were promoted to Warlord pretty closely to one another. I think Sarge and Khelron hit it first, and then maybe me several weeks after that. And we all kind of came through that system where it was like, let's do Friday Night Fights a lot. How many times have you done Friday Night Fights, Sarge?
At this point, probably half a dozen, right? Like you said, combination of 1v1s head up, and then either 2v1 or 2v2 with multiple comps.
Yeah, and it's probably been the same for me as well.
There's a lot of pressure in that. I think that fighting BA against BA, obviously there's a lot of pride and ego on the line sometimes, but not a lot of room for error. So, in those losses, or when you make a mistake and get smashed, like it's a good learning tool, because you're able to kind of review and get feedback from a lot of different people and adjust what's necessary. Whereas sometimes in the open world, depending on how fast it goes or what happens, you might not get that same level of feedback or have the ability to kind of review like that.
Well, yeah, you don't get to see both sides, but when it's
Right.
fighting against your teammates and they win against you, they're going to tell you what you did wrong, whereas
Correct.
the enemy is going to tell you you suck and that you never stood a chance and there was nothing you ever could have done to win. Whereas your teammates are going to go, on the third engage, you used up all your cooldowns too early and didn't fall back fast enough, and we were able to get to your midline, and that was your downfall. You can learn from that. And
Yep.
it's incredibly helpful because these fights are kind of zoomed in. You
Right.
need to have like a sense of what's going on around you. And when you thought one thing was happening, but somebody can tell you that no, you thought this was happening, but we actually accomplished this against you. Learning that after the fact from a skilled opponent who's willing to communicate with you, that's going to give you so much information, so much education.
Yeah, I think I've learned 10 times as much from all my losses than I do from winning, right? Sometimes it's good to take a loss and just get your face kicked in once in a while. And I think the men need that too, right? It's easy to take a bunch of wins and forget that if you if you're not on point and don't do what you need to do when you need to do it, that anybody can win in any given moment.
I kind of had a different rise in that, because I started calling for Arch actually when I was in Arch. I was the main shot caller for Arch for some time, and the way I learned how to fight was also fighting Blue Army, but just from that red perspective where all I was told was you suck, you're terrible. So I didn't get treated as well as Sergeant Boldy did on their way up from VA. That's the way I kind of started my calling. So when I kind of got to BA, I wasn't like in the sense of trying to pick up calls for anybody or anything. I just wanted to join BA and be part of the group and be part of the community. And over time, it just kind of seemed like there was sometimes that lack of callers, and that's one of the big things that we're trying to say here is essentially there's no other guild with as much depth where a caller dies and someone else picks up and another caller dies and someone else picks up and again and again and again, and that's one of the things that makes us so different and in a way so unstoppable too, because you can go ahead and kill our shot caller. We got like 10 more.
It was actually funny. I'm glad you brought that up, Khelron, because there was the other day we were at the castle fighting Take Care, and I started the calling off, and I died in the castle. And then instantly, without missing a beat, Khelron picks up calls. Khelron dies in the castle. Next thing you know, Snacksor picks up. Snacksor dies in the castle. Then Chris picks up. Then finally Mojo gets there, and Mojo then picks up. I don't know how many guilds probably keep it together. And then meanwhile, you got Lemny on the side with conflict, holding the west door or something like that. All while we're rotating shot callers on and on and on and on.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you tell me who Lemny is?
You're so savage, dude.
Jesus.
You're so bad. Who wants that one? Go ahead, Khelron.
That's
No, it's okay. So I want to move on from that. So we've noticed that you guys have all these shot callers. Do you think this is going to be the new norm? Like the other guilds that want to be as good as BA, that want to take over that center ring from Squawk. Do you think they'll start trying to get their 5th and 6th shot caller going? Maybe, try to make it so that they don't, they're not just one and done. I mean, we've seen Poe do it. They have a number now. They do have Duratine over there who's competent, joining Syndic, who, wow, I got to tell you, short period of time, a lot of change in his ability to lead a ZVZ. Very impressive stuff. Like I said, do you guys think that...
actually, Shozen? Is he actually calling?
Yeah, he was, when they started coming back about, I want to say it was the invasion before the new, the Avalonian season. I want to say it was towards the end of season 7. As soon as they came back, he has been leading the ZVZs, and you can see the progression of his skills as a ZVZ shot caller to today, where he leads most of those, and Duratine is secondary.
Boldy, those fights that you had against PoE multiple times, dude? that was you were fighting.
Oh, nice, dude. I wasn't
like the
sure.
zone lock one.
For some reason, I always thought it was Dirtine. I mean, we had everybody out there, Hammer,
No.
Sickle, Scoato. They've all,
No.
to be honest, dude, I have to say, at least. So I've been in BA since pretty much BA was created. And just watching PoE, having grown as a Zerg alliance now, I think their ZVZ skills are better than they've ever been before. I think it's quite impressive what they've been able to do lately.
They've definitely adapted quickly.
Yeah, it's a admirable skill. Speaking of shot callers, do you have any other shot callers besides those two you'd like to talk about as in really good shot callers?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that in general, like there's some groups out there that have good shot callers. I mean, obviously, Ellipsis and Dirtine, and I mean, I've been recently fighting Torthor daily as he's been trying to get into the ZVZ transition, let's call it, and as much as he's been taking losses, right? He's been getting better every time, right? He's been adjusting. He's been doing those types of things. So I think we're seeing it across the board. It's just people are going to improve at different rates. PoE being very quickly, and some others taking a little longer.
Okay. And I guess to go back to that other question, we never actually answered it. Do you think that you'll see more and more guilds get more shot callers as that becomes a necessity with these additional fronts?
I think they'll try. I don't think I think most guilds will not be successful. And the only reason is because it takes a lot of time and effort, and it takes a lot of energy from the entire guild. So you got to realize, like, every single time Sarge went out there and started calling, and every single time Bodhi went out there and started calling, when they were learning, essentially they were getting their groups wiped, right? And that's, everybody loses a set. And then you go back, and then you lose another set, and again, and again, and again. And there are just not that many guilds that are, out there willing to put in that amount of money and, dedication to help the caller get better. Because like a lot of people just go and play just for fun, or for the ZVZ, or for the fight, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're constantly dying, it's it's not as fun as if you're constantly killing, right? So
True.
now I'm not saying that like Boldy and Sarge were out there suiciding people, but when you're starting to learn how to call, you're gonna make mistakes, and those mistakes are gonna cost you some people. So it's part of kind of getting there. So I don't think many guilds have it in them, unfortunately. I think PoE has a lot of potential. I think PoE could be very strong, but I think where they're at now is kind of their peak. I don't believe they're gonna get that much stronger than they are, and I don't think they're gonna hold it where they are right now. I think slowly over time they're just gonna back away. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because the fights are fun.
Okay. So
Other than that, I don't think anyone else.
So you don't think that anybody's going to be able to challenge you guys? It's just going to be that the fact that you have already taken the center, your biggest enemy right now seems to be Poe. I couldn't say that it was 1941. I mean,
Nah.
They look really good on the fame charts, but when I watch the fights, I gotta say, it's just not. Poe does better.
So the thing about 1941 is that right now, if I'm not mistaken, mostly is LeBron James that's leading their Zergs, right? And look, I'm gonna put it this way. So because I was in Arch, I was in Awful Company. With Awful Company for a long time, actually we were able to experience the shot calling of many different people. I include LeBron James. Like, I've been led into battles by him, right? I've been led into battles by Ellipsis. I've been led into battles by Pleb. I've been led into battles by Duratine. I've been led into battles by basically every single shot caller that's somewhat nameable, except for Sindich. I've never, fought under him. And the truth is, like, I'm not trying to throw shade, but at the end of the day, LeBron James is way too narrow way too narrow-minded, and he will constantly make mistakes, and you see them all the time on the field. And that's one of the big reasons why, that alliance never really flourished at the time that it was. So, I just don't think under his leadership, I don't think 1941 is going to be any sort of real quote unquote danger. I think PoE has potential, like I said, but I don't think they have the organization yet, the longevity, I should say, because they're still fairly new. They're still fairly new as a whole. So they're doing well, but I don't know if they can keep it up. I hope they do, but I don't know if they.
I think it's definitely the people are going to try, right? You need to try to develop multiple shot callers. If you have one shot caller for your entire guild, you just aren't going to make it in Queen. At least you'll have, or your success will be will have certain limits if you're relying on one shot caller to no life to being able to carry your guild, because it just isn't possible, I think, in Queen to do that for the long term. And so I think you need to develop shot callers, and if you can't, I think you begin to run into some issues. And I don't think it's easy to develop shot calling because, to Khelron's point, after every one of these fights, it wasn't just, we lost and trying to learn from the mistakes, by memory. We were going literally, I think, and Khelron has done this with me, we would sit and watch film afterwards. And that sounds so nerdy.
No, it's just
so
like GVGs. Every good GVGer I talk to says you have to watch the film. I did RTS at a high level. You have to watch the film. That's what you guys are playing, is an RTS where instead of being able to click and drag and tell people where to go, tell your units where to go, you have to yell at your game and tell it where to go and hope that the AI follows the directions. And you guys you have to watch the film to learn. You have to figure out what to do.
Yeah, and I think you have to be honest with yourself, right? There's no use kind of, trying to deny what the film says, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either. So I think you got to be honest with yourself and then trying to improve off of that. And you got to keep putting in the work, right? Like I said, I've been in BA for over 2+ years now. And I've always been a content specialist, always kind of taking the guys out for ganks, roams, those type of things. But then when I came back to Albion again after taking maybe about a 3-month break, I just turned on a different level in terms of the intensity that I decided I wanted to play the game. And I think that's probably true for Sarge as well, to a degree. And I think Khelron's a little bit more unique or a different situation from the two of us, where Khelron kind of already had a decent skill set already developed in terms of his shot calling ability. I think Sarge and I have really worked on it, doing roams every day. The amount that the three of us work together very well, actually, and we've played together all the time, actually, even though we're different time zones. I play a lot with Sarge, particularly on the weekends. I play a lot with Khelron, whether it be roam groups or we're calling for fights. Khelron and I have called a lot together recently for demolishing hideouts. So it's been it's something you really need to put in the work, though, if people want to get it done.
Yeah, you have to be willing to lose. I think people struggle with that sometimes. You have to be willing to lose, and you're not going to get better, and you're not going to get to the level that you're going to need to be at for Queen unless you go out there and you're willing to lose. So I think that was something I learned fairly fast. And I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow, especially the first time you get your face kicked in. But you have to take those and then, go back out. And you have to be willing to throw half a dozen sets at it before, you get on the right path.
I feel like that's a theme of Albion in general, right? Is you have to learn early on in your life in Albion that you're gonna lose. Not every fight is gonna go your way, but you can learn from that, whether it's to learn to be more prepared while you're gathering and just run away faster, or learn how to use your skills in 1v1 PvP, or learn that the best rewards in this game are when you risk things and go hit Hellgates. There's a lot of going, you know what? I'm not going to win every single engagement, but the risk to reward on this, that's where you get the big rewards in this game, is the more you risk. You guys are risking not only your gear, but the gear of what? 150 250 other dudes.
Yeah.
Every fight.
Yep.
You know, usually like what people wear like on average between $1 mil to 1.5 mil on average, I'd say, of gear, right? And so just imagine.
Are you not even counting
150
mounts?
People dying. Yeah, I'm not even counting mounts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, dude, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen you guys ride deep on the mounts. Come on.
Gear. Yeah, that's just straight gear, you know. And so like, whether the guild rig gears or not, you know, it's costly. It's costly, and at the end of the day, people also just generally don't want to lose. So now you have 150 pissed off people because you know, the collar sucks, you know.
Or you got quiet for 30 seconds when things went bad. Just that one moment of silence.
That's the worst.
Yeah, when you hear your shot caller like silent for 10 seconds after a bad engagement, and you know he just locked up. Oh God.
That's when you pop sprints and start.
Yeah, I'm already mounted, baby. I'm already mounted.
Yeah, like, and you know, for me specifically, I came from Savage. I've only been playing Albion a little over a year, and I think that I was with Slice a long time. Shout out to the Savage guys, and I think his take on the game is something that really helped me from day one, which is that mentality, like, you know, you're gonna lose, it's gonna happen, right? But what do we learn? Where can we get better? What can we do better next time? And you know, how do we treat the men? How do we treat the guys after that? Like, we're not yelling, we're not blaming anybody, right? We're trying to fix what needs to be fixed, so next time we can go out and be successful. And you know, like Boldy said, he's played a long time. Khelron's played a long time. You know, I've had a little bit of a steep learning curve from just a time perspective. And, you know, if it wasn't for some of these guys like Mojo and Sucks and Knight, and, you know, even Khelron and Boldy and Slice, as I mentioned, being willing to share that perspective and that mentality and support the group and the cause. I mean, you know, I don't think any of us would be here talking to you and saying what we're saying. And that's kind of circling back on it. If a guild wants to, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. We started making this transition, you know, 5-6 months ago, with adding warlords and working on multiple fronts, and you know, being able to project force in multiple zones and do multiple things at the same time. And you know, we still haven't perfected it, but, you know, we've been pretty good at it. So.
I mean, and just recently, was it like 3-4 days ago that we had the main Zerg. We were fighting PoE in one of the zones, and then we had Boldy take a 40-man group to go secure a different zone. Like, what was it, like 5-6 zones away? Like, totally different against the whole different alliance and everything. You know, and then Boldy went and you know, secured that objective, and then, you know, by the time he came back, the fight was still going.
Well, I think that's going to be something that's going to happen more and more. One of the themes that keeps coming up is distance and power projection in this new map. People keep talking about, oh, it's, you know, you're going to either have to pick to defend or attack. And a lot of that isn't just because of numbers. It's because they don't have the shot callers to run multiple fronts. Because you can move the guys back and forth if you can get a good enough scout going, you can find out what your enemy's bringing to you, you can find out what they're leaving home, and adequately send the guys to split into multiple areas. But you have to be able to send the shot callers as well. And you can't go, okay, which one's more important? Do I attack this hideout that I've been at for 3 days in a row and it's on its third shield? Or do I go defend my place to make sure that they don't get the tower today? Both those things are real super important to you. And to have the kind of shot callers that you can send in both directions is going to make an alliance or guild or gaming group that wants to have a larger area much more powerful, many more options to what they can achieve.
Yeah, I agree. I think for like anybody that's listening, that's like, you know, a smaller guild, or you know, maybe a guild leader or an aspiring shot caller, you know, that's you know, maybe in a smaller guild, or maybe not like anywhere near the inner circle, but you're trying to kind of make your mark, right? Get your home straight and everything in Queen. I think the best advice I can say is you have to work with your guild. You know, you have to work with your guild, get together, know that the objective is to train a shot caller, right? And know that with that mentality and that goal, there's going to be a lot of loss in between. but then you will all grow as a Zerg, and at one point or another, that Shotcaller is gonna get good enough where they're gonna be able to, defend your hideout from whoever, and at the end of the day, that's the goal. That way you can defend your home, because if you can't defend your home, then it doesn't matter what you have lost before or what you didn't lose before. It doesn't matter. When your hideout goes down, you have no place to be. So like if anybody's trying to like think of what should I do to be a better caller, you got to listen to your own people, listen to the people, what they're telling you, and then also the guild members, don't be so terrible with your aspiring shot callers. Like, you're all there trying to teach each other and trying to learn together, because at the end of the day, the more shot callers we have in the game overall as a community in all of Albion, the more fun everybody's gonna have. And so I do hope that we get a lot of names come up over Queen. I really do hope that. And then maybe at some point, PoE is disbanded, maybe even squad disbands one day, years later, I don't know. But and I would like to see these names. Like, if I were to leave Albion for a year and come back and see all these different people, that'd be that's a good thing for the community.
Shark's back.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I'm just you just So you said something there that kind of struck a little bit of a chord. You said be nicer to your up and coming shot callers. Shot calling is like a form of public speaking, right?
Yeah,
right.
You have a tough audience.
Yeah, and like, public speaking is maybe one of the more stressful things that anybody can do. People, like, when they do surveys, they say people fear public speaking more than anything else. So, guys, really double down on that information right there. If you want to have more shot callers, be nicer to your up and coming shot caller, so he doesn't go, oh shit, I'm never going to try that experience again. That was fucking hell. I'm not going there. Yeah. Good luck. Tell the guild leader to go shot call. Yeah, that guy. Let's see if he can figure it out.
It'd be pretty rough out there sometimes. It's I was fortunate to in a way grow up in Arch where everybody was equally worthless. So yeah, so I kind of it was part of the norm over there. We were all trash, so it was okay. We were all equally bad. But I know some guilds out there. I've heard some stories of like certain guilds, and maybe not even big time guilds, just some guild members randomly. I'll see it on Reddit or something. Somebody's like, yo, like, my guild leader is this and that, and they're so upset, and I just was trying to call, and how can I get better? And I'm like, well, first of all, your guild leader sucks. And,
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
but that's the truth. You got to back up your people, and at the end of the day, if the guild is not working together to help the shot caller learn, the shot caller is never going to learn, or they're never going to get better, and it's going to be the same story. You got wiped in 2 seconds today, you're going to get wiped in 2.5 tomorrow. It's just that simple. Like, if you're not working together, you're never going to get.
I think the support of leadership in terms of trying to develop the shot callers is extremely important. Particularly, even this doesn't apply to the smaller guilds. This applies to the larger guilds, and maybe even more so the larger guilds, because they have the financial ability to support it actually, in ways that others can't. For me personally, Mojo was extremely supportive. Mojo was like, dude, go for it. You, Khelron, Sarge, Boxy, you guys just lead everything and this goes back to the point that Khelron made earlier, when we got down, like when we were in this, I don't even know if it was a season or quasi season, whatever it was, Mojo was like, you guys lead this stuff because this is going to make you better for Queen. Don't worry if you wipe here and there. It's all cool. That's part of the experience. We got your back. Just do it, right? And we support you in it. And I think the other person I think who's been extremely supportive within leadership in BA has definitely been Chris, at least for me. And I've gotten quite close to Chris, more so probably over the last 3, 4, 5 months since I've been back to the game, than I ever was before. And I think his support and him kind of giving me tips and tricks on different things, on calling has been really supportive. I mean, look, the benefit of having been in BA for so long is Mojo has been doing this thing and has been an elite shot caller for a long time now, right? 18 months to 2 years. I mean, really since the start of BA.
I feel like he was one of the first ones to make the transition from GVGs to shot calling ZVZs. And he has been doing it at a higher level probably longer than any other shot caller. Though I will give Duratine some credit. Duratine came onto the scene very early, and so did Ellipsis as well-known ZVZ shot callers. But I remember him making that transition, and it was impressive.
Yeah. I think to be honest, I think you'll start to see, and I really hope this is what you see with Queen as a result of some of the conversations we've had before. And I think the need for guilds to develop this so they can actually expand more rapidly across the map, or be able to hold more territories across the map, is that you start to see more names come up in the scene as being like, dominant shot callers against each other. And then I think if that can happen, I think that will be really, really good for the health of the game.
Absolutely.
If we can see that happen.
Well, I think we just, I think we figured out why, Chris was so adamant that I had 3, third-tier shot callers on my show, was because every guild needs more shot callers. And they might start somewhere low, but then you're going to have guys who, they might be third on the list, but they have 7 of them. And the guy third, fourth, fifth on the list can all call as if they were number 1. And it gives them, Blue Army, many more opportunities to do things. And it will give you out there who are listening those same opportunities, even on the smaller scale, just going from 1 shot caller to 2. So you can do it every day when that first guy's not there, so that you can be at multiple fronts and hit multiple zones and take 2 towers, because everybody wants to get the tower in their prime time, right? That's the goal. Right. And if you have 2 towers in your prime time, that would be a better thing, right? That would be your secondary goal, is to get them both in your prime time so everybody can participate in them. But at some point, if you have 2 or 3 towers in your prime time, you're going to need to split your forces. And 3 towers, guys, there's the same number of towers as we had in the last map. But it's going to be exponentially harder for guilds to hold as many as they did before. Do you think that anybody is going to be holding 113, 137 like Money Guild did?
I don't think so. I think some alliances are gonna try, but I don't think 113.
No, 13 sounds like a lot in this new map. Like it.
I mean, they might be able to at first, but I think as more people adapt to the changes, like, we'll see that start to get challenged, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the goal, right? I mean, I hope people continually try to challenge that, right? I think it shouldn't be just accepted that anybody can hold, like you said, 100+ zones. Like, that's not good. That's not good for anybody.
It wasn't good for the game then, and I don't think it's going to be nearly as possible going forward. When you defend in one area, it's hard to defend in a second. When you're defending in 7, it's very hard to defend any of those 7, even if you have a lot of guys. And when you start moving your guys to defend one area, say it's 2 days into a defense of a tower siege, your other enemies or new enemies are going to notice that you're not able to defend your other places as well. And they might go, this is a really good opportunity for us to snag that T5 tower they, built up. That's a tier 7 zone. It's got a T5 tower in it. I wouldn't mind dropping a home plot in there. How about you guys? Sounds good to me. Let's go. These things are going to happen, but having more shot callers is going to be the key to defending multiple towers and multiple territories.
I think you will see. I think part of what you said is just true, but I also think part of there's going to be a little bit of the scare factor in there as well, right? I think you could say the same thing against Money Guild, right? When Money Guild was owning all these different territories because they had a dominant GVG team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have launched multiple times against them. You could have launched on multiple war camps, and you maybe could have actually taken some territories. The question is, did you want the Money Guild war machine coming down your throat on your home on your home plot, right? And I think that will be a question that people are going to have to ask themselves too, whether it's Blue Army, whether it's PoE. Do you want that war machine if you make that enemy by, I don't know, taking a territory that they didn't, that they weren't guarding on the day? Do you want the war machine coming your way? And I think that lent itself well to Money Guild and some of the top tier GVG teams, and I think it'll be the same though for this, right?
Okay.
To a degree.
Sense. No, I hear exactly what you're saying. Fear is a powerful factor in this game. I'm just hoping that maybe the pride in homes outpaces fear, and that people really learn what it's like to live in an area, and how that the stuff that's close to them, 2-3 zones away, is pretty easy to defend. But even for big guilds and big alliances, getting to be 7 territories away or 8 territories away makes it very difficult, and they have to start making choices. And people should take advantage of that. They shouldn't just, go, oh, I could get slammed, because you could get slammed. You could lose your hideout, right? But if you keep going back to that zone day in and day out, that giant mega alliance has to make a choice to keep coming back to smash you. And if it requires them to move 5 zones or 6 zones or 7 zones, they might start thinking twice after the 30th day. I mean, Familia held out a long time against Money Guild. 13 weeks.
Yep.
And in this new way this game works, you could just keep showing up there. It's not about a home plot. It's not even about that hideout, because you can just put another one down. It's about being in that zone and making that zone yours. And any guild can do that, even with like 60 people. They can say, no, this is mine, and we're just going to keep coming here. I don't care how many times you keep coming back here. We're going to just do it another day. And the greatest stories I've ever heard in this game are about that kind of perseverance. And I hope Frank Sinatra was right about that, and that people are going to do that and have that pride in that plot, whether or not they even have their hideout anymore. Go, no, this stupid spot on the map is mine. You can't kick me out. I'm coming back tomorrow.
Well, if you think about it, that's how the Roman Empire fell apart, right? It's they got spread too thin, trying to take over too much at the same time, and they were like, oh, well, you know what? The Goths over here, they're talking trash. We're gonna go smoke them, and they go and try, and then they come back and they're still there, and they come back again, they're still there, and then next thing you know, someone else is talking trash, so now you go over there too. And now you split your forces in 2, and then in 3, and then 4.
And you split your forces. Some guys on horseback come riding through all your villages that you don't really defend anymore, because you didn't think anybody would have the balls to come in. And next thing you know, you lose your main hideout. Oof.
Yeah, and I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And I feel like maybe at first, most guilds and alliances are going to be a little cautious, because they don't know how far they can actually extend, right? So like our alliance, BA's alliance, and CIR's alliance, PoE. Like I think we're the biggest and strongest right now in the game, but at the same time, we don't know with Queen, we don't truly know how far we can stretch our tentacles per se, without having an axe come down on one of our tentacles. Like we don't know, and that's one of the things that we're gonna have to learn the hard way too.
All right. Well, we've actually had a pretty decent interview here. I think you guys, I wasn't sure what to expect, but you guys have proven to be quite entertaining, informative, and I think you're going to help a lot of people in this game world. Do you want to have any final statements, or do you have anything else you'd like to say, each of you, before we head out of here?
Yeah, look, there's not a ton from me. I mean, I think we brought out a lot in the interview. I've been playing out for a long time. I've been playing since beta 2. I started shot calling when I was the guild leader of the Filthy Casuals. Took a long break from shot calling, and now I've picked it back up. I think, if somebody really wants to get into shot calling more generally in the game, I think, try to find that guild that you feel like you can maybe accomplish that with, and don't think you're just going to put yourself into a position where you should be dumped right in immediately to, oh, I should be calling and I need to practice 40 versus 40s or 20 versus 20s. Start with ganking, right? Then say, okay, come out with ZVZ gear and ganking. We're going to do a roam now, right? And try to just gradually build up your experience level to a point where where you feel like that now either you've got the trust of your leadership in a guild, or you are the leader of a guild, but you've built up enough experience where now you can adequately lead men and people into these ZVZ type battles and situations. I think that's the biggest thing is grind. If you want to do it, just work hard and it can be done.
Khelron, what do you got?
Honestly, I think like Chosen said, perseverance is going to be the key with Queen. Whether you're a small or large guild, small or large alliance, whether you've been playing the game for a month or since alpha, right? It's the perseverance that's going to be key, and also if you're going to be trying to call and you're going to try to learn how to be a top rate shot caller, at least for your guild, right? Whatever that might be. The best advice is learn. You gotta learn the game before you try to tell other people what to do, right? So look up different compositions, different weapons, what they do and stuff. Like, you can't be out there trying to call for a group and telling people that soul sights is terrible when like soul sight is like the meta. You know what I mean? And another thing, like I'm notorious for a very long time, and people will laugh, but you know what? Enigmatic is still great. Always has been. People just underestimate it. Same thing with demonic. So test it out. You'll see.
I like it.
I would say just take fights. Just take fights. Like you're not going to get anywhere if you don't take fights. I don't care if it's outnumbered. I don't care if you think you're going to lose. I don't care if you feel like you're not ready or you don't have the comp or you're just some gankers or you're just a 10-man guild. Take fights. Take fights. Get better. Learn. Because if you don't take your lumps in this game, you're not really going to get to where you want to be. And I think that's where people kind of fall off, is they take a couple lumps and then they decide it's not for them. And play with people that support you. I think the three of us would all agree that if it wasn't for the BA community and a lot of the people that we've mentioned and a lot of people we haven't mentioned, from the quartermasters that keep everything running and the officers that put in the work day in and day out, like we wouldn't be here. And it takes a community to really continue to push to a higher level, right? So play with people that support you.
All right. Well, guys, you guys were an absolutely fantastic interview. I really appreciate it. I'm going to thank Chris for telling me I had to do this and pestering me every day until I made sure it got done. I think you guys are going to help a lot of alliances and guilds out with just explaining how necessary it really is to be prepared for multiple fronts. So thank you guys, Boldy, Khelron, Sarge. I didn't think I was going to get this much out of some third-rate shot callers. But
you want those mounts, right?
You really proved me wrong.
Well, if you want those mounts, you had to do it. So
yeah, I don't get mounts anymore. I haven't for seasons, but it's always a good joke. No, really, it was a pleasure. And yeah, I love busting the chops of BA because they're in first place, and you always got to punch up, right? Always pick on who's in first. And if you're wondering why they're in first, like right now they're not in first in points. They're not in first in they're in first in kill fame, I guess, and total fame, right? Right now? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But they're first in the ones who took control of that inner ring. They control that inner ring, and they're really the force that's taken control of this game and the season before it started. Going into Season 8, these guys are the clear favorite, and the reason they are is because they have so many very good shot callers, and all their guys listen to a T. They all know their jobs, they all know what they have to do, and they have high activity level. They have such high activity level that out of 300 dudes, they have 7 shot callers. How many shot callers do you have in your 300 dudes?
And that's it. That's the interview. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked that one. I enjoyed it. To be honest, I learned a lot as I listened to them. But they are 600, not 300. I am wrong. They do have Blue Army Freemen, and the Blue Army Freemen would get mad if I didn't call them, part of Blue Army. I think that would be disrespectful. It's yeah, it's what they are. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I'm sorry that some of you feel that it was far too pro BA. Yeah, they have since it's to be expected that people are going to be a little salty. But I got to say, I'm gonna be honest. Had I done this interview last night, Bogul, instead of a week ago, the questions would have been very different.
For example?
They control a lot more than I was led to believe they would aim to take. And it's a combination of them searching out content, them being willing to punch people who are a little bit lower than them, and the fact that it really is just a lot harder to take things than a lot of people thought. I do think that their flag does exactly what Boldy said. It does cause fear, and you can hold territory with fear. And I've been talking about that. That's something that still remains true when he said it. And, when I say it, it's true, guys. But I understand why people are upset. This is not what a lot of people wanted. And hopefully we will see changes that come into the game over the next few seasons that allow smaller and smaller groups to compete. I really think that the game excels when more people are fighting, and I don't think it can just be a game where two different sides fight each other. I don't think that's what anybody really wants to see.
Well, I will put this interview into our archives together with the other interviews that we have done over the last few months, I think. I'm currently working on a playlist to get that together, and you can go listen back to all of the interviews that mostly Shozen did, but some of them we also did together, and then you can listen to other famous Albion Online characters talk about various things in the history even. So keep an eye out for that. And is that our show for today then? Is that the end of Albion TV for today, or?
No, we're going to be back here in just a few moments, Bogul.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we got to get ready because we're watching guilds get ready and massing up for the 21 UTC prime time slot, and we're going to see some territories get attacked, maybe a hideout or two go down. I'm already starting to follow some people, but before I tell anybody who I'm following, what we're doing, or who and what's going on here, we have to put this onto a 15-minute delay. So we're going to go away for at least 15 minutes, probably closer for you guys to about half hour, depending on when things start fighting. But you can stick around. I will be giving out yet another raffle here. Actually, let me pull that raffle right now. Hey, somebody in chat right now. Feo TV and Cesari, whatever. You won, guys.
Again.
You're both like they're both right there in chat. Just whisper me, guys. Whoever you are, just figure it out. But we'll be back, and I do have two more very large raffles that I'll be giving away during the ZVZ. So enjoy that. I'll see you guys then. Yeah. All right, Bogul, anything you want to say before we go?
No, good interview. We'll see how long it takes to take a fight, but as Shozen said, at least 15, probably a little longer, maybe 20, 25. But we will be back before the hour, definitely. See you in a few minutes. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.